Hello there and welcome back. My name is Elena.
And I am Fotios, and this is the Game Court.
And today, it's finally time for the game of the month.
And for this month, we have selected for you Salton Sea. It's a game for 1 to 4 players, designed by David Bernal and art by Amelia Sales, and is published by Devir Games.
Salton Sea is part of the small box Euro games published by Devir alongside White Castle. They have Bamboo as well, and we said we were going to give it a go because the box is very appealing and we really liked the mechanics that they presented, so this is why this is the game of the month. In Salton Sea, you have a geothermal company and you will try to extract as much brine as you can and do the best out of all the geothermal companies around. I think Salton Sea is a sea in America, but I am not 100% sure. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you extract brine from the... Brine is technically like salty water, and you use it to produce geothermal energy, and you produce lithium batteries alongside with it.
So what you do in Salton Sea, you produce, basically you drill it down to get to extract this brine, to, as Lena said, to convert it to lithium and
that's what it is, isn't it? Brine is like Salton Sea. When you buy tuna, it has like brine in it, so that's like salty water in it. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm not wrong. But this is what I think it is.
Like the brine for the cans. For the
the brine from the tuna, yes.
But apart from producing this stuff, you also want to sell them in good prices, and you sell them in 3 companies in the market, and there is a fluctuation, a dynamicity when it comes to the prices that each market accepts these products. But you also want to fulfill contracts with several other companies, which gives you a lot of victory points, but also other perks.
And alongside these contracts and perks, you do have other little things that you do in the game, and they're represented by cards. You do have a lot of money, and on the other side you have multiple different actions, like your base actions, but they are better actions. And you have these little licenses that you use to drill, and you will have to buy as well. And they're all represented by little cards. So all in all, there are many things to do in there.
And also, as with every Euro game, there's a track. There are many tracks actually in this game.
The main board is literally just a track. There's like a few tracks in there.
Well, yeah, the main board is a few tracks, which represents how many shares of the 3 companies you have. Not our companies, the 3 companies that you sell products to you have. And as you sell to these companies, then the price of that share, but also the victory points at the end of the game increases. But also you have your own personal track on your board, your development track, which as you develop there on your track, you get more workers, because we didn't say that yet, it's a worker placement game, right?
Although we mentioned cards, it does have a lot of cards. It's a lot of card play in this game, but it does have worker. It's a fairly simple worker placement game, isn't it?
And then also going along this development track, you also improve your warehouse. So you have more spaces to store your brine or your lithium batteries, but also to place research cards. And as we did mention, the core mechanic of the game, it is worker placement, but it's not like competitive worker placement. Every person has their own worker placement spots, and basically on your personal player board you have all the available actions you can do, but with the different cards around you also have other actions that can place your workers, and these are generally more powerful actions.
And as you said, it's more like a solo worker placement if anything, or it's not really like a worker placement where you have much interaction. There's no interaction at all in between the players when it comes to that. And they've done a very sneaky thing with the cards, which I think it's quite clever. All the cards are actually the same base actions but a bit pumped up, and as you turn the cards over, they do represent money, so they have value 1, 3 and 5, and they do open in a tableau alongside the contracts and alongside the researchers, and you can select from there whatever you need. But you can use the card as either an action that is pumped up. Obviously if it's a 1, it's a pumped up action from your base action, but a 3 will be a better action, a 5 will be an even better action, but they're all in all the same kind of actions anyway. You can use that as a super duper action, or you can turn them around and use them as money, because I think in this game you do sell a lot, but you do use a lot of money throughout, so you have to think cleverly of whether, do I like this action super much and keep it and forfeit 5 money, or do I just use the 5 money and see later what I do? So it's a bit of a thinky, what do I want to do with all these cards?
The good thing is that you don't really spend the money when you use the card as the action card, but you reserve it, in the sense you cannot really use the card again for the same round, but at the end of the round it will come back to your hand. So you basically reserve this capital to do the action, but then money is tight in this game. It's super tight.
Yeah, and as much as I don't really like, normally all these games, worker placement and stuff like that, they will always have like an action in most Euro games, isn't it? They have a little slot where kind of everybody can go, and we always call it the loser's
The
action.
loser's action, yeah.
Because
So if you cannot do anything else, go do that. Like draw a card.
or like take one money.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, if I've not gone there in this game, like out of 8 times, I've gone there like at least 3 times almost every round, because the money is so tight, and by the time you actually want to sell something, you have to think of what you want to do with the money because it's so little. So it's not that much of a loser's action in this game because you use it a lot.
And with that, you take basically $1, right? $1 card, which could
Yeah.
be an action card as well. Apart from the loser's action that Elena mentioned,
Please.
other action in the game is to obtain a drilling license, or to actually drill for brine, to extract brine, to process brine, to sell goods, or to fulfill contract, or to obtain a research card, or to obtain a contract. Many different actions there in the game, and there's also a copy action. You can copy any of your base actions for 1 money. But also there are 2 cool actions, one cool action actually, that you.
Oh, the other one is not. The other one's the loser's action. It's fine.
Yeah, one cool action is to repair your machinery, because one aspect of the game is that when you process the brine into lithium or energy, you can push your machinery, or when you drill to collect this brine, you can again push your machinery and you damage it. And if you damage it a lot, you cannot use it anymore. So you have to repair your machinery. You have to one for
That's
drilling.
a really cool aspect, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a also risk play over there. So the more you push your machineries, the more you're going to get out of it. But then you
the
got
more
to
you
use
break
actions
it, yeah.
to bring it back to normal.
Righty, yays and nays. My first yay is that this is quite a fresh Euro game. It's not a very super duper heavy game, and I think particularly in this period we've been enjoying very much all these not, Vital Lacerda kind of level games, and it feels quite nice and refreshing to play. I think the share market is quite easy to follow and understand.
Yeah.
It's quite overly simplified, but again, I think it's done in a way that it's quite enjoyable. So yeah, I think it's a very nice, refreshing, easier going Euro game.
Just to mention something, to add something on this shares price and everything that's easy to follow, completely agree. I like how when you sell, the price increases, and when it reaches a threshold, then the price of the market change. This is quite a nice aspect and is very easy to follow. I completely agree with that. My first yay for the game is this innovation that the use of money / action cards, and you have to be very careful how you use them, how you commit them, because you might be in a situation that you're using the loser's actions many times
Hey,
to get some
it's
money.
a winner for a change.
So yeah, it's a very nice idea, because you either commit your money to take that very powerful action, or you use the money to spend it to, let's say, produce more stuff, do better actions, and so on and so forth. I think I really like this double use of money. We enjoy the multi-use card games.
Yeah, but I don't think we've played very many games with this either or situation.
Yes.
But I think it kind of suits us, and I really enjoy that. Also, what I enjoyed as well, so that's my second yay. That's my second yay. What I enjoyed is that they've streamlined this game to a point where you can either play it risk averse or you can play it super risky by pushing your machines.
Yeah, correct.
And I think I like that very much. And even if your machines break, you have an action to actually fix them, but you obviously have to invest more money and time to produce money, and then the money to fix the machines. But I like that you can play it risk averse or you can play it super risky, and I think that's quite nice.
Yeah, because if you play risky, not only you cannot use the machines anymore, but you also get many negative points at the end of the game, which is not a good thing.
That's a big no-no.
Another yay for me, a quite important yay, is that the game is in a very small box.
Yeah.
Not like a deck of cards, small box, but a Red Cathedral White Castle small box.
Well, I must have mentioned that at the beginning.
I know,
think.
right? Yes. And also comes with a very reasonable price tag, at least here in the UK. We got our copy new for £25, which is impressive for a game like that, because it has a lot of stuff inside, a lot of nice components, wooden components. And by the way, I should mention that as my, let's say, 0.5 nay, art for my taste is quite good.
Art is very pretty, yes, indeed. It's not very much art. It's not
minimal.
in your face. It's quite minimalistic, but it's very pretty art. Yes, yes, indeed. I don't think we know this artist, Amelia Sales.
No, I don't think we have.
I don't think we've heard of her, but anyhow, very nice, pleasant art to the eye.
Shall we go to nays then?
Let's go for nays then.
Nays.
I think I'm going to start if that's all right.
Mm.
And that's because we played the game a few times, and every time we played the game, I tried something else. So the main way that you could actually get rid of what you've produced, when I say get rid of, I mean you can either sell it to the share market, or you can fulfill contracts with it. So technically sell it towards a contract, put it towards a contract. And I felt that the difference in between the share market and the contract is quite big. And you obviously have to think of whether you want money or whether you want points. But the contracts are so point heavy. Like you get from a contract 8 points, 10, 12, 20 points.
Up to 20, yes.
Up to 20 points, which is a lot of points in this game.
And extra perks.
I mean, you get some money and stuff like that, but you get extra points like shares and stuff like that. So I feel that the contracts are so heavy compared to the share market that at some point we just played it, and I barely played the share market. I still lost. But the idea is you don't even have to play the share market if you don't want to. You could just focus on that. But just solely playing the share market, I think, is not going to guarantee you a win at all. If you compare that with the end game objectives, because you have some cards at the top at the beginning, those will yield not more than 10 points, and that's for the whole of the game. And you have to fulfill so many contracts, or you have to do so many things to actually get that. Comparing that with one contract that can give you so many points, I think there's too much of a difference, too much of a gap. And I didn't really enjoy that.
One thing that you mentioned earlier is that the game comes with these short-term and long-term objectives. The short-term, you can fulfill them within the game, and it's like basically first come, first served. The long-term, everybody's going to get points for that. But the thing is that the long-term objectives give you some direction. So if a long-term objective tells you to have a lot of fulfilled contracts from that company, then it kind of pushes you to go there.
Yeah.
And from my side, it has to do with the length of the game. And we have played the game in 2 and 3 players. It plays 1 to 5, 1 to 4.
1 to 4?
Yes,
1 to 5. 1 to 5.
1 to 4. And the box says it's about a 2-hour game. And this is actually true. I don't have a complaint about it. But I feel that I could do with a slightly shorter game. So especially when it comes with 2 players, because there is so much we can sell in the markets, the game will end with the depletement of the drill cards, the licenses for the drilling contracts, whatever how they call it. The other way to finish the game is basically to the markets to close. This is by selling a lot in the markets. But for 2 players, this is, for me, as I see it, is not happening very often. So for us, it's basically the game is finishing by the licenses, drilling licenses. So I would potentially house rule it in that sense to have a couple of less extra drilling licenses there. Because for me, it maybe takes 2-3 rounds more than it should take. Because after a point, it does feel a bit of a rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it is, because you only you have a lot of little action, but the main action that you actually do is just producing your geothermal energy or your batteries and then selling those onwards somewhere. But technically, you're just producing.
Yeah.
And that's the main bulk of the game. Nay-wise, every round you play, the first player changes. And there is no player marker. And that's very frustrating because you forget who is the first player and who is not the first player.
Yeah, because at some point in the game, you may have different number of workers.
Correct. Because at one point I was ahead of you on the track, on the development track, and I had more workers, so I would play more. And who knows who the player was at the end of the day. So we kind of improvised it. I don't even know what we used. We kind of used just a random object just to pass it along so it's easier to track. But I don't know why it does not have a player markup. Maybe a player card. Anything. Like the first player, anything. It doesn't have. So that's just a bit nitty-gritty, but I think it would have made a bit of a difference.
I have a bit more important, I would say.
Excuse me.
Nay.
I think a player marker, first player marker, is very important.
Okay. Another nay I have is that after the end of each round, you have to take all the discarded cards from every of the 5 rows in the market, research, contracts, 5, 3, 1 money, and then shuffle them and put them under the deck. And then, on top of that, discard also the first
last
card.
one,
the
last card that's left.
And then refresh the market. And this takes a while because there are 5 rows. And, the space is compact, so only one person really can do that. My point is that, especially in a 2-player game, you never go through all the cards, so just reshuffling them and putting under the deck, it doesn't make much sense to me. So what we did with Helena, we just left the cards aside.
Yeah.
And then if our deck was to be depleted, then we would refresh it, basically. But the way this is described in the rules, I think it could be a bit more streamlined in that sense. Yes. So because you spend a lot of time between rounds, and this is not very fun.
Yeah, because the cards are quite dinky, aren't they? And then by the time you actually move them across and stuff like that, it's quite some effort in there. It's a bit annoying, like moving them across and whatever. And instead of just chucking them aside, we chucked them aside and it worked very well for us. Righty tighty. Recommendations.
Yes, other game recommendations. If you enjoy Salton Sea or you want to see more of this stuff, my game recommendation is Shinkansen 0K.
Easy.
It's a game designed by Isra C and Sales or something like that. The duo that did White Castle and the Cathedral. And why I'm choosing this game is basically you have also worker placement, and it's again individual worker placement.
Yeah.
And also the worker placement develops during the game with cards that you buy. So you have this common element of worker placement with the cards that you buy, and you make your engine better.
I was trying to think more of what economic game have we played that is economic but not super strongly economic, and that you have like end game scoring that you can follow from the beginning, so you have some tracks and plans that you could do. And the only thing I could actually think of was Nucleum. It kind of gives me the same vibe of, you know, economic, but I don't find it is like, you know, super in it, but it still has this economic vibe, and it's kind of, I think it might be the same way, although the box of Nucleum is a bit bigger. And I think the rail tiles do flip over, and it's kind of the same idea with the money, isn't it? One is an action, the other one gives you some stuff. So it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah, action or rails.
Yeah. Where you place them and you flip them over, then they give you benefits and stuff like that. So I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, so that was our review for Salton Sea. It's a very enjoyable game overall. Has some new, fresh ideas, some new things there to explore. Comes in a small, compact box. And this is our game of the month.
Yeah, I think Devir did a very, very good job with their collection of small box Euro games, and I really hope you give them a try, because so far, wherever we've tried, it was quite a hit. Yep, I really hope you enjoyed our video today.
And thanks so much for watching.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.